Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to each and every one of you for being with us here today. I'm pleased to be able to welcome those of you that have been with us for a long time, as well as those who are new to XENA World family. I'm honored for having been entrusted with the responsibility of hosting this weekly show. It is a true reflection of the objective of this foundation, where every family member is given an opportunity. I'm here in front of you only because the foundation has faith in people like me. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Today, I shall be speaking on Rajiv, you got lost.
No, you can continue. I mean, if you see.
No, I'm not getting the, one sec, I'm not getting the camera. Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. Okay. The last time we discussed the fact that when working with Bach remedies, it is good to go layer by layer, not at random, not to choose 7 remedies, one that deals with fear, one, no. People will speak to us at random about their emotions. That is not the responsibility of the patient to give us a structured response. Very, very few do that. And it's for us to find a way to methodically deal with issues in such a way that we get the fastest possible result. Now, I had mentioned that the first layer to deal with is stress, current stress, immediate stress. And this is important because if you don't deal with this, you are not going to solve or even get the attention of the person. They're too kind of preoccupied with what is stressing them today, now. Okay. This stress can come from various places. Very often it can be work. Very often it's conflict within the family, either with the spouse or the in-laws. It could be conflict with children. For children, it could be conflict at school, or it can just be straight business stress. And all of us are impacted by this stress in different ways. For some, it will impact the stomach. For some, it will impact the sleep. Each person responds to the stress slightly differently. Not each person, but many people respond differently. So we need to deal with stress first of all, and then move on to the other layers. Okay. Now, there are some very clear remedies for dealing with stress. The best known of them is called rescue remedy. And it's a combination of 5 remedies that provides a very balanced approach to dealing with a combination of fear, impatience. I list them for you. It contains rock rose for shock, star of Bethlehem for emotional trauma, impatience for impatience, okay, clematis for clarity. So the effect of this remedy is very broad based, and for 9 out of 10 people, this remedy will bring about an immediate sense of peace and calm. Okay. Now we can go on to other things. The next very important remedy for stress is actually sweet chestnut. It's called the remedy for those dark moments in our lives when everything looks bleak. Okay, we're not able to see the positive in the life around us. So I usually follow the rescue remedy with sweet chestnut. Okay. The next remedy I use very often is gorse. Gorse is the remedy for hope. And frankly, without a sense of hope, healing just doesn't begin. Okay. Another remedy that is very good is mustard. Mustard is for sudden states of depression. Now, I don't mean hardcore clinical depression. It may not be that bad, but a depressed state of mind exists in a lot of us at a lot of times, and it is good to clear any trace of this depression very early in the game because it will impact us or block us later. The other remedy for stress I prefer is white chestnut, okay, because it stops the mind from running mindlessly into that state of worry and worry and worry. White chestnut calms the mind down. It stops that inner turmoil, allows a person to be calm. Okay. There are many other remedies depending on how the stress is caused. Let's start with a simple one. People get stressed out when they feel they have too much on their hands, whether it's work or home or children, etc. They get frazzled. I've got too much to do. How will I manage to do it? The very beautiful remedy for that is elm. Elm gives you the feeling that I can cope with this, I can manage it. Instead of letting it impact us, it brings a sense of energy and calm. Says, come, I can deal with this. Okay. Another very good remedy, especially if the stress is coming from an emotional trauma, is Star of Bethlehem. Is there a rescue remedy? No doubt. But it also has a very powerful effect if used on its own. Okay. Star of Bethlehem is for when we ideally is defined as when we have lost someone dear to us. It's for an emotional loss. But it can also be the breakup of a relationship. Okay. Any sense that we are hurt by something happening outside, and that emotion is the kind that makes us cry. It also makes us depressed, lots of other issues. So, Star of Bethlehem on its own is a very good remedy to use. Another remedy for stress usually comes up before a problem, for say exams. It's what you would call anticipatory fear. The person, before say public speaking, has this anticipation, I will goof up. Once they start, they're all right. But there's that initial panic that leads to tremendous stress, and I've seen this very frequently in people before an event, whether it's a play or it's a music performance or a school exams. That remedy is hornbeam. There is another kind of stress which is very important for men. Again, that falls into this feeling of anticipatory fear, and that is erectile dysfunction. A lot of men suffer from this. They feel panicky and unsure before sexual activity, and it kind of kills the whole thing. Okay. So, anytime you notice that you are afraid before an event, anticipatory fear, correct, then you need to take the remedy hornbeam. Now, the book refers to this as that Monday morning feeling, and it confuses a lot of people because it tends to point to fatigue. Let's look at it clearly. Who doesn't like Monday mornings? It's not the successful executive who's walking into an office where he is admired, everyone is going to praise him. It is actually the guy who's not sure of himself. He may be a good worker, He'll get through the week, he'll get his targets met, but at the beginning of the week, he is full of anticipatory fear. Okay? And this is actually a very, very common feeling of stress, especially among youngsters. But again, it applies across all ages. Another form of stress really comes from lack of confidence. Am I good enough? Can I do this? Will I be able to do this? Etc. There is a genuine lack of confidence in oneself. The remedy for that is large. Okay? It gives you the feeling that yes, I'm capable, I'm good enough, I can do it. It's different from hornbeam, which is actually got the confidence, but that anticipatory fear is there. In the case of large, this person deeply lacks confidence in themselves, and you need to boost that confidence. Okay. There's another type of fear, though it is not, or stress, call it what you like. Gentian is not described as a fear remedy. It's described as a remedy to be taken after failure. If you look closely, you'll realize that people who have got faith, they get over failures more easily. They are confident that they are going to do it. They're confident about life. Okay. And Gentian helps you get over the sense that I have a crisis. I failed. What am I going to do next? Okay. Let me think. That's about it. See, these are the remedies that create stress in us. Okay. Many of them are short term, some are long term. Now, where there is a lot of conflict, it creates a different kind of stress. Okay. It creates anger, it creates, uh, jealousy if there is a problem at a personal level. And we'll deal with that under the layer of anger rather than dealing with it under the layer of stress. Because I want to focus the stress on what is current, immediate, urgent. Okay? So we start with rescue, then we give sweet chestnut, then we give gorse, then we give mustard, we may need to give elm, correct? And you'll find this out by listening to the person and asking them what exactly is stressing you out. It's not enough the person that says, oh, I'm stressed, give me a remedy for anxiety. This really happens too often. I am anxious, give me a remedy. And you have to go back and write to this person and say, but what are you anxious about? Are you anxious about money? Are you anxious about a relationship? Are you anxious about a performance? What exactly are you anxious about? Because each remedy deals with a different level of anxiety, different kind of anxiety. Yeah, rescue remedy is more generic. It can be taken in almost all cases, but it may not solve the problem. If the anxiety is towards performance, lack of confidence, rescue remedy is not going to solve it. It may calm you down a little bit, but it won't solve the actual problem because the remedy for that problem is very specific. This is one thing that worries me, that a lot of people don't read carefully between the lines. They read the book and they decide, oh, this will work for my anxiety. And then they come back and say, Bach remedies don't work. That's not true. Take the trouble to understand where this anxiety is coming from. What is the nature? What is the trigger for this anxiety? Okay? What will be a good solution for it? Now, don't get to the ridiculous extreme that someone messaged me once, sir, give me a Bach remedy that will help me make 1 crore of rupees in 30 days. I'm sorry. There's no remedy that will give you 1 crore of rupees in 30 days. It's a ridiculous question to ask. Bach remedies do not impact the world outside you and magically produce 1 crore of business. Yes, you can tell that person, I'll give you remedies to make you work hard, to make you feel confident, to make you stronger. But you have to work to make that money. This is not some magic that will drop 1 crore of rupees in your lap. And unfortunately, there are too many practitioners who go around saying, chant this, say this, do this, and wealth will come to you. I have never seen this happen. Truly, wealth is something that takes hard work. And with hard work, you tend to create your own luck. You take opportunities. Okay? So if you're anxious about money per se, okay, Bach remedies will help you immediately by reducing the stress at that moment. But they are not going to produce 1 crore of rupees for you. Okay? You need to understand this. Remedies do not work on the outside world. But yes, to an extent, when they make your inner state of mind positive, calm, etc., that does impact the outside world. A calm mind thinks better. A positive mind draws positive energy and positive actions. Okay? A remedy like wild rose is like a good kick in the pants. It gets you up focused on work. Okay? On beam creates confidence. I will be able to do it. And the combination of this is what leads to success. There's no magic formula that if you take this remedy, this energy will summon success to you. No, the rule has always been that you have to go after success. You have to think, you have to plan, you have to take the right decisions. You have to work for it. This is something that really should be made very clear in the beginning of this series, that remedies can empower you to act better, and that leads to success. Remedies on their own do not create success. And if you believe there are people who think that chanting certain mantras or switch words or X or Y will summon success to your door, well, maybe I don't want to comment on that. But generally, the rule is if you want to succeed, you've got to work for it. And there are a number of these remedies that help you actually put your best foot forward, is to say. Okay. So you've got larch, you've got hornbeam, you've got gentian, you've got elm. These remedies will help you deal with the events of your crisis. Okay. And in that process, you will probably be successful. Sorry, I need a moment. One sec. I have to get rid of this. These kittens are a nuisance. I adopt sick kittens off the road. One reason I'm so passionate is that I got one little kitten who was blind in one eye. And the vet can do nothing. Literally within days of giving him remedies, that eye is opened, and that opaque kind of coating that was inside the eye is beginning to clear up. The other is a young lady who was picked up under a bus. Had obviously got injured. There was the fistula kind of thing protruding from the anus and generally bleeding. Couple of days with the remedies, everything is back to normal. So, pardon me for the interruption, but these little creatures should have been locked out. Back to the world of stress. Very often, The stress comes from dealing with other people. Now, typically in India, it could be a mother-in-law, father-in-law, it could be a boss in office, it could be the spouse who is not supporting you against your in-laws. Uh, it could be the feeling that you are not allowed to, follow your career, your dreams. This interpersonal stress is actually probably the more common type. Okay, and it comes up in the lives of a lot of people, mainly because when you're dealing with other human beings and they do not respond in a manner that you expect them to respond, it is going to cause stress in you. Okay. Now, there are two approaches. One is you give remedies to the person who is causing you the stress. And this actually works the best way. A dominant mother-in-law or an aggressive husband, if given remedies, changes their behavior and your stress goes down. But if you're not in a position to do this, then you can give remedies to yourself to handle the stress better without going over the top, without exploding, without conflict, without too many quarrels. So, whenever there is interpersonal conflict, you need to take a very careful kind of decision that says, who do I have to heal? Do I have to heal myself? Or do I have to heal the person who's the cause of this conflict? And this comes up a hell of a lot with children. Parents write to me and say, oh, please help, my child is behaving like this, he's doing that, he's doing that. And I have to ask at time, I said, why is child reacting like this? Oh, his father scolds him, or his mother does this or that. And that's the problem. I've just today had to tell someone. I said, in the situation you're describing, I would not give a medicine to the child. I would rather give medicine to the parent who's really bullying the child to the point the child is hitting back and reacting. It's not a good practice to use Bach remedies to fix a child. I do get people called, oh, my son is screaming and shouting about something. Give him a remedy. My answer always is talk to the child, because communication is more powerful. And if you build up the ability to communicate, it will help this child through conflict and other things throughout life, not only now. Giving a remedy may solve a problem temporarily. It may not solve the problem for life. But today, what is happening with children, unfortunately, is that they're under a lot more stress than they have been in the last 100 years. And social media is one of the causes of this. And in this battle, their self-image is actually one of the big triggers. It may be the physical look. Very often, at least in India, a person with a dark skin starts at a disadvantage. It could be that their communication ability is not good. And while children, unfortunately, can be very cruel to each other, and they will tease and they will comment on, oh, your English is lousy. Oh, your hair is not looking good. Or X, Y, Z. Or your clothes are not fashionable. And this is creating stress in children. That is really unfair and is very difficult to manage. And once again, you must talk to the child. You must understand what is causing them stress. Today, I got a request to help a child who is somehow reluctant to go to school, just 4 years old. And I kept asking, I said, why? Has someone bullied her? Has a teacher scolded her? Is she afraid of something? A lot of our stress comes from fear, especially when we're dealing with children. I said, talk to the child, find out, and then we'll certainly give a remedy. But we should know exactly what we're giving a remedy for. You know, it's not that just think of a remedy and give it. We need to know what emotion has got kicked up and therefore what emotion we need to deal with. Without this, you will never get the results, the best results that you can get from Bach remedies. So I repeat, it's not enough if somebody messages or posts, oh, I have anxiety, please help me with it. The question has to be, what is that anxiety? Where is it coming from? What is this anxiety about? How long have you had this anxiety? If someone comes and says, oh, I've been anxious all my life, then you know it may not be a single factor. It may go into self confidence, self image, and it may go back years. And tragically, again, in my experience, it very often comes from parents. Parents who tell the child, don't do this, you'll get hurt. Don't do this, you'll get sick. Don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. Or it comes from parents who kind of bully the child. Do this or else. And they create a fear in that child. And it doesn't really help the child become a great performer. It's best to have confidence in your child, encourage the child, uh, tell them to talk to you, share their problems. Okay. And I recently had a case where I had to give somebody certain remedies that bring out what is buried inside them. And the parents were quite surprised and shocked to say, is that what is worrying my child? The answer is yes. The child has told you so directly in their own words. And this is what is worrying me. This is where my anxiety comes from. This is where my doubt lies. And then we can pick the correct remedy. Because there are 38 remedies, and Dr. Bach very correctly identified different emotions that apply to each remedy. Fear actually is one that runs across board. Anger. These two emotions tend to have so many remedies. There's types and types and types of fears. And there is many origins to our anger. And much of the stress we go through actually originates in either fear or in anger. Fear of success, fear of money, fear of the business, correct, are all going to lead to stress and anxiety. Similarly, anger at a spouse, at a boss, at colleagues also leads to stress because that anger separates you from them. It creates an isolation. You can't be friends and chatty because you're angry at them. So, stress itself comes from many corners, and the correct remedy can be known only when you ask detailed questions about how, where, what for, where from, how long, okay, has this stress been affecting you? Now, one of the nasty effects of any kind of stress is an upset stomach. Now, this could be simple acidity, could lead to a higher level of inability to digest food. It could lead to, I know there are so many names like GERD and etc. But all of them point to a dysfunction of your intestinal system. You're tense all the time. You're worried all the time. And this is impacting your stomach. And unfortunately, when your stomach is impacted, it impacts everything else in your body. It affects your sleep, it affects your mood, it affects your physical health because your body doesn't absorb nutrients properly. Okay. So, fear, anger as triggers of stress are also triggers to all kinds of other problems. But yes, you must first deal with the stress aspect. You must calm a person down. Usually, after getting rescue remedies, sweet chestnut, gorse, a human being relaxes. They say, oh, wow, these remedies work very well. And then they are more ready to open up to you, to listen and to talk. Okay.
Sir, if I may interject, I know we are coming to an end of this particular session until we meet again next week, same time. Just one curious input we had after your 3 or 4 shows so far. If you could just give us, if you could throw some light on these remedies, suggested remedies, how much do they cost?
Okay. Okay. See, Rajiv, there are two aspects here. If you get the original remedies, say from the UK, which is where they are manufactured, they can cost anywhere up to 1,000 rupees for a 10 ml bottle. Okay. In India, if you buy remedies, you will be given tinctures, which is 2 to 4 drops of that stock remedy are added to 30 ml of alcohol, medicinal alcohol. And that is sold in India as a tincture. And that can be between 70 and 100 rupees or a bit more. Some manufacturers claim that they're putting 2 drops. Some say they're putting 4. Uh, there is one manufacturer who says I am putting 6 and 8 drops of the original stock remedy. And so they charge between, as I said, 70 to 150 per bottle. There are a number of practitioners who import the original stock from the UK or buy it from the distributor locally, and they make their own remedies, their own dilutions, and they sometimes charge quite a bit more, correct? So you should know what is the remedy you're getting. Now, I use remedies from a company called Healing Herbs because I found them to be the best. And I've tested this often. So, what I recommend to people is buy a bottle of local tincture, 70, 100 rupees. Take 4 drops and buy one kit of the original remedies. Take 4 drops of the original stock, add them to the bottle, the tincture bottle. Now, you can use rum, whiskey, vodka, brandy, any spirited liquid in which the remedy will be preserved. If you use plain water, that water will go stale after a week, maybe 2 weeks. Okay. Evian water is good because it doesn't get spoiled. Brand of water in India called Himalayan, that doesn't get spoiled. But normally, if you make a 30 ml dilution, that can last a long time. And the remedy is not getting spoiled, but the water is getting spoiled. So let me repeat. If you buy original remedies, they will cost you anywhere upwards of 1,000 rupees for 10 ml. But you don't need to consume them directly. You can buy an Indian tincture between 70 to 150 rupees. Add 4 drops of that original stock to the 30 ml bottle. And since that is pure alcohol, that will last indefinitely. I've used some of these bottles after 2 and 3 years, and they're still absolutely effective. If you
Sir,
use
just to, yeah,
sorry,
sorry to interrupt, sir. Uh, this also input we had received, which was if one wants to reach out to you individually for your guidance, for your I would say, your medical advice, treatment advice. Uh, on an average, I mean, how do you work out your charges? I mean, is it
Okay.
on a hourly basis or it's on the
No,
complete treatment basis?
complete treatment. See, this is very important. Uh, there are people who have the strange idea that if you take one dose of Bach remedies, you'll be okay like magic. That is not logical. Yes, you get immediate results from Bach remedies, you get relief. But if something has been a chronic problem for, say, 6 years, you cannot expect that problem to disappear in 1 and 2 days. So I discourage people from this single consultation approach. It never works. Two, people don't tell you the truth completely in the beginning. So I have made a practice. I have found that 7 weeks is a good ballpark. It gives me 1 week per layer, like I said, on the stress, on the past, on fear, on anger, and self image. This gives me time and it gives the person time to start talking. They get comfortable with you. Then they start coming up and sharing, this happened in my childhood, this happens with my mother, etc., etc.